Greg Onwagarono, and welcome to another episode of Straight Talk. I'm one of your hosts today, Michael Stock Sr. We have Lance DeLille and Ross Montour. How you doing?
Good.
Very good.
Yeah. Very good.
I don't want to brag.
Well, it's been busy here in Kahnawake.
I know it's funny. You know, I was talking about the last show. We were talking about the problems in the community in regards to the public security and the meetings with Timmy Norton and that, and it seemed like then Timmy had mentioned that he had spoke to the police and there was no. There was nothing. It was quiet, and,
right.
and I was like, I guess that's a good thing. And if we knew why it was so quiet for 2 weeks, then maybe we can apply that. But then the opposite happened in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was almost like, Timmy said something about, that alluding to something at another time that with the drugs, that the dealers got scared because they knew they were under scrutiny. That maybe this is what was going on here.
I guess we didn't
well,
scare
apparently
anybody.
not.
I guess we didn't scare anybody.
We were inspired, but regardless, I mean, not to make light of it.
Yeah.
But it goes like that. It goes in waves, and so over the last 2 weeks, reported over 20 break-ins.
And that's high.
Yeah.
And it's mostly vehicles, what I understand.
And some robberies.
And some robberies. There was a big robbery. I guess at Lee Thompson's store, 132.
Lee Thompson's store, yeah, and the 132. We do have footage of that. Within the last 48 hours, we've received a lot of information. We have the footage courtesy of Lee. We went to GahnawagaNews.com, and there was a story that was released in regards to that as well.
And it was there. According to the paper, they were saying that there was two individuals from the community who went rob them. It was, an armed robbery.
Right.
So they were arrested, and I think that according to this, they're still in custody. And it's funny because we're always saying that it's somebody else that's doing it, and in this case, it's two individuals from the community, and according to Kahnawake News.
One of the guys had priors.
Yeah, there was a Gerald Marquis and a Mitchell Phillips. They were charged with robbery and possession of a weapon in a manner dangerous to public and uttering threats. And then one of them was charged with 2 counts of breach of conditions. So it's not something that I guess they haven't done before in some situations, but now when our own people are going into doing armed robberies in some of the stores is one thing. I know that most of the robberies, according to the peacekeepers, was a lot of break-ins in vehicles, and that was going on in the past also. Mm-hmm.
It's only now where it's so under the microscope right now. There's so many things that are happening within the community, because sometimes when things would happen, it wasn't a very public issue, where now it's so frequent, unfortunately. We're starting to hear more and more stories in regards to that. So it's very, very difficult to kind of to put your thumb on exactly reasons why. And
if in the Lee Thompson situation, with the footage that we were just showing, you see how they come in. They just came running in, jumped over the counter, and took the money and held the person at knife point, and then they fled. I mean, it's a good thing that I guess in some way that the individual working there didn't try to defend themselves and end up getting stabbed there, and we have another murder on our hands, or something. It's crazy now. Why it's getting to that point that. Now that there's being armed robberies being committed by our own community members.
When we spoke to Clint Jacobs a couple of weeks ago, one of the things that he pointed out is that if this is happening in your store or at your home, not to be the vigilante, but just to protect yourself as best as possible. But I mean, in a store situation, listen, what's more important, your life or the money that's there? Protect your life,
But the hard part about that is because since a lot of these robberies have been going on, people have been arming themselves. Now, if the owner or another individual was in that store, soon as somebody come running in with their mask closed, if somebody was sitting there, because the person was behind the counter when this happened, and they jumped, one of the individuals jumped over the counter, but if there was somebody that was quicker, and there was a firearm there, somebody would be dead right now, and somebody would be probably charged with something, you know,
That's
so.
true.
Again, we're in a situation where the community is involved in something, not the community, but those individuals be from the community involved in something. Anyway, it's a dangerous situation, and people just have to be careful what's going on. you
Right.
know?
Yeah, no, it might be a good idea, you know, I don't know, people who have stores like that, I mean, we're down to economics now. We're down to economics in terms of how many people you can have at a store at any given point in time. But it's almost like you almost want somebody there with you to deter that, you know, because usually it's one person alone. I remember a number of years back at the old Aguari store before the fire, there was a store right next to us, and it was about 6 in the evening in the summertime, and I just saw somebody out of the corner of my eye walking fast by, and it looked like he had a mask, and it turned out he had the woman in the store all tied up, the same thing with a knife, went in, and then took off through the bush. There was all trees back then, and he was gone. You know, he was gone very fast, kind of a shock and awe kind of a thing. But when you start hearing about things like, you know, it's people from here. I mean, one way you look at it and say, well, crime is crime. On the other hand, you want to look at it and you say, well, what is that indicative of? What's going on? Even Timmy alluded to that last week in terms of the issue with drugs, the issue with so on, as being.
I mean, we don't know that in this.
We don't know. No.
No.
But it is. But you do. But in a general way, Mike, what I'm saying is as a community, I mean, people always talk about, you know, once upon a time it wasn't this way. Once upon a time we didn't have to worry about this stuff. So what is different now? What's going on?
Well, I mean, in this situation, obviously it's because of a store. I mean, if you look at when we grew up, there was maybe 1 or 2 stores that you would go in. You might have stole a chocolate bar without them knowing, but you didn't rob it.
Right.
I mean, Rabasca's got robbed one.
But these
when
are
I was younger.
these are not kids.
No, they're not kids.
Their names would be printed.
But now there's like 10 stores on every corner, so that's not. I mean, that's a good thing for us. This shouldn't happen.
No.
Regardless of whether it's somebody from the community or not, it shouldn't happen, and we have to take precautions in that. But that's one thing. But with all the other robberies that in vehicles now, that's been going on. Now, we don't know whether or not windows were broken or otherwise, but a lot of things were stolen out of the vehicles, and in most cases, the vehicles were probably all left open.
Right.
So I'm not saying that's a good thing,
I
but
mean,
you still have to be careful.
Listen, there's a lot of things that have been going on in the community over the past couple of years. There has been break-ins, home invasions. There's been different aspects over the past couple of years. We tend to look at the now as being, okay, this is happening now. But you go through 10, 20, 30 years within this community. There has been incidents. There has been situations where this is happening. It's so apparent now. I mean, again, through social media where people are posting all this stuff out. Certainly in the form that we're sitting right now. I mean, we're actually presenting this where you're looking at 30 years ago, it was just the birth of the radio station, for example.
But even if
But do you think it was? Are you saying that it's no different now than it was 30 years ago?
I'm saying that there is a significant difference is in the application of how they're doing it, but in terms of
You don't think in terms of frequency, in terms of.
I think
I don't think so. And the reason why I feel like that is because, you know, there is a numerous amount of stores. So, of course, there's more opportunities for these terrible events to take place.
But the thing is, I'm going to say is that we didn't have it as frequent as it is now. If they're saying that in the last 2 weeks that there was at least 20 break-ins and majority of them were into vehicles, that's unusual.
That's unprecedented.
Yeah, that doesn't happen often.
you
That
think
doesn't happen that it's like that. I think that over the last 6 months, yeah, it's been getting a lot of publicity, but because of the frequency of it, and it has. You know, we were looking at 2 weeks ago when we were sitting here talking to Timmy. Prior to that, there was maybe about 10 or 12 or something like that had happened over a longer period of time. But this is in 2 weeks. There's been 20 cases. That's a lot.
I
You know,
think that the 20 cases, I think yes, it is a lot. And I'm not discouraging the numbers. I think what I'm looking more at is I'm looking at more the idea that before we didn't really even call them when these events would take place. I mean,
I disagree though. I mean, I think there was a point in time where people from town weren't robbing each other, weren't going into people's stores.
Yeah,
no
yeah,
matter
but I mean-
but no matter how many less stores there were.
No.
I think it is different. And not that it has never happened before.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, Lance, to say that, there's a lot more media now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more self-media, but people used to talk.
Yeah.
People used to call each other up. They still do.
Oh, they certainly do. And
So part of it.
my
Let's finish that thought after, because we have to go to a break.
Okay.
So I don't want to cut you off.
Okay.
Because our time's winding down for this segment. So we'll take a break and go to all our sponsors, and we'll be back right after these messages.
Welcome back to Straight Talk. If you're just joining us, we're talking about the recent break-ins that have been taking place within the community. And one of the things that Ross and I were talking about, and we'll take care of this really quickly, we were talking about the frequency of the break-ins. And I think that's one of the important things is that there has been break-ins in the community, and you have agreed on that. There has been incidents where there was people held at knife point. I mean, there's been these very difficult things that we've had to face as a community. I mean, sometimes they fall on the wayside because we choose not to remind ourselves about these things. The frequency of this is like what we just talked about. Timmy, when he was here 2 weeks ago, he said that this was not happening. Now it's happening. Now, I'm not disputing over the fact that I don't think that we should be worried about it or even discussing about it. I think the style of the crime and the reason is why we're doing this is a little bit different, though. That is where I think my point and what I'm trying to get. You're talking about the drugs. You're talking about tough economic times, keeping up with the Joneses, so on and so forth. I think that's a lot of it where you're looking at the different types of crimes, whereas where there was somebody breaking into somebody's car, they were grabbing, anything from like a tool belt, lacrosse bag or whatever. Now they're looking for high-priced items. They're looking for something that they could sell on the outside, so then they can have more money.
The only thing I would say, Lance, is that if I'm breaking into your car, I ain't keeping up with the Joneses. I might be dealing with a Jones.
Yeah. No, I know, but I know what you mean, though. But it's very difficult if you look at like the generation that we have right now. If you don't have certain aspects in your home, as an example, like
I don't know. I see a lot of kids with a lot of tech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I mean, I think there's a lot of affluence in town. More than there ever was when I was a kid.
Sure. If you don't have that tech, you're not really.
I mean, what I'm saying is, I don't know if that's it.
But I think that-
it's something to reflect.
It is debatable. I think in both sides. I think there's merit on both sides, though, for sure.
I guess the point that we should, talk about or discuss more or less or finish off is that let's try to prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
If it is a rash of crimes that's going on in regards to vehicles, if they're opportunist crimes, which most of them are, when somebody's going to go into a vehicle, is they're going to go, and if there's an easy way in a vehicle, if the door is open, they're going to rummage through it, even though it shouldn't happen, but it's happening.
Sure.
So some of the precautions is have a well-lit area where your vehicle is in. Be more vigilant who's around your place. If you have an animal or a dog, make sure that there's nothing in the vehicle that they can steal.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
If you're leaving a purse and you're leaving your door open and you're leaving CDs and you're leaving a phone and you're leaving whatever you have, technologically or not, where somebody's potentially could steal, then you need not to do that. So all these precautions that you need to try to take that it won't happen. Obviously, you can't stop them. If somebody's going to break a window and go in, they're going to do it. But the chances are less likely for them to do that because then it brings attention to themselves. Normally, it's just opening the door. If you have an alarm on your car, it's another deterrent. So there's a lot of things that you can try to do to deter it or try to prevent it as much as possible. And you need to try to do that.
Sure.
So
It's,
I think that's one of the big things that people have to be
I
aware
think
of.
too is people being vigilant about it. Like we had somebody come in to us yesterday, a little store next door to the house, or lacrosse stuff and that. But somebody, I gather she was working at the radio station or whatever, and noticed some guy in the radio station. I don't know, looked like he was filming some stuff, and then she watched him. Then he came further on down the road and was looking at a building, taking pictures, and. She didn't. Her impression, she didn't know whether it was somebody casing someplace or whether it was some kind of undercover operation going on. You know.
The other thing is that you have to be cautious with, it's that time of the year again for bicycles. So don't leave your bicycle out or your children's bicycle or anything. It's this, people, this is the time when if they're out breaking in cars, they're out stealing bikes too at the same time. So make sure they're locked up or they're put away, that they're not out somewhere. Even when you go to the store, years ago, my son just he bought his own bike. He must have been about 15 years old. And he bought a bike and he went to Evelyn's store. He just went in, like 2 minutes he came out. It's gone. And it wasn't somebody from Lachine, LaSalle, or Chateauguay taking that bike. It was somebody from this community that stole it within minutes. We went looking all over the place and didn't find it.
But I see kids do that. It's like they're not even thinking about it that way. They just pick it up and go.
Yeah. Anyway, be a little more vigilant in all your stuff and be careful that you do it. One of the other big things that we want to talk about is the referendum. A lot of people, the casino referendum is, a lot of people are saying that it's being fast tracked. And
well, they are. It is being fast tracked. It's not an opinion.
But not everybody's saying that. But I'm saying a lot of people are saying that it's being fast tracked, and it's still not enough information or time for people to get that and to be able to make an informed decision when that date comes. Let's just go over some of the things that have been happening over the last month or so. I mean, the referendum. Casino referendum, we've been talking about that now for the last 6-8 months, but it seems like now everything within the last month or two has been just gone. It's like we're here another week. There's going to be a poll.
That's right. On the date is Saturday, April 28th at Cattery School, between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. Is when the referendum will take place. Advanced polling will be on April 21st at Cattery School. Now, in order to participate in the advanced poll, you need a written request with a satisfactory reason as to why you can take the advanced polling. And it must be made out to the electoral officer, who is Michael Sky, by the way, who was also who was nominated and got the position as casino electoral officer. The fast track of this whole thing is exactly right. And as I've said before, this is going to happen, this whole casino process. This is not something that is going to be looked at as being a decision that is going to be absolute if people all just say no, unfortunately, because there's so many things that are in motion right now. You look at the Facebook page, you have a lot of people who are saying no, but you're also looking at I also look at the other side of things. There are people who did say no before who are saying yes. They just don't like the fact that the council is not. They want to know what they're going to lose because of the council being involved in this.
Yeah, I mean, we beat it up, but not to the point where a lot of those questions were ever answered. I think that I agree that I think it's being fast tracked, and a lot of the reasons, I believe, only me and some of the people who I've been speaking to believe it's being fast tracked because of the poll that came out where it was more yes than no said that they would accept to have a casino. Mm-hmm. With that in mind, if I was on that side of the table looking at it, I would want to do that as soon as possible so those numbers don't change. If you look at any election anywhere, that's what they base it on, right?
It's like Quebec, winning conditions. Going for the winning conditions. We're going to take a conditional timeout right now. We're going to take a break right now. We're going to get to our sponsors, and then we'll be back after these brief messages with more of Straight Talk. Don't go away. We'll be back. And welcome back to Straight Talk. When we left for our break, we were talking obviously about the casino again. The referendum is upcoming. Some people, I guess, are not saying it's fast-tracked. At least two of us are saying it's faster. We're not the only ones, though. I mean, the timing is like bang, 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 and it's kind of like you knew this was gonna come down the pike. The press for a casino is on from council.
Let me just go through the important dates so people will be aware. It'll come up on the screen, but the important dates basically are the 21st of April is the advanced poll. So if you can't be there on April 28th when the actual referendum is going to happen at Cattery School, then you have to submit a letter and the reasons why you can't be there on that specific day, and you can go for the advanced polls.
You have to let them know by when, though.
Electoral within 48 hours has started. At least 48 hours before. You have to give them notice. So the 21st at the Cattery School is the advanced polls. The 28th is the actual referendum.
Okay. Not to belabor it, but who do you hand that letter to?
Well, I'm assuming that it's Mike Sky, the electoral officer.
Okay. So people might want to check it out.
Yeah, but before that, the 17th, which is this weekend, right?
Yeah.
This weekend coming?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Friday's the 13th.
So at 6 o'clock, there's a meeting held by Kirk Stacy's basically the one that's heading it up, but it's a community meeting.
Right.
It's not a Mohawk Council meeting, it's a community meeting. It's driven by community members and not the council and not the elector, the referendum group. And it's, if you have any questions, you have any comments, you want to go there and say something, you want to get information, whatever you want to talk about or discuss on the referendum and or anything else, it's theirs. I guess so. It's more of a people's meeting, but it's
there is a Facebook group that was made by Kirk Stacy. You could check him out, and more information in regards to where the meeting will definitely be on there. What's interesting though, which I was looking at some of the notes here, there is a current petition that's circulating around the community about postponing the referendum because people again think it is a fast track movement that's
that ain't gonna happen.
No.
Well, no. Look at the thing is that
so.
I had the conversation last night. But see, okay, I understand this is different than the last time. In the last time you flat out had an opposition group, people were no, and there's still that element in the community of people who are just out and out opposed. But this is a petition that's out there just asking for it to be postponed, delayed. That there are questions that people need. There's not enough information, and people want to have the opportunity to do that. They don't see why it's happening so quick. But I say, you know what? It's going to come down to, well, we'll put out some more information, and we're going to go ahead and, we did have community sessions. We did have community decision-making meetings, and people came out. And so this is where we're going ahead.
I don't think that would happen anyway. I don't remember. It may have happened in my lifetime, but I don't remember any petition going against anything in the Mohawk Council stopping what they're doing. No. I don't remember any. And I know that there's been petitions where thousands of people have signed it, and
nothing.
And it's gone. It disappeared.
Listen, I think I've already said, and I've already said this. This casino is going to go through, regardless of people say yes or no. This is going to go through, and the reason why is because this juggernaut, which is the casino, is an unstoppable force because it's not just dealing with the 6,000 to 8,000 people we have in this community. You have major investors that are involved in there. You have a whole casino community that's looking towards this whole thing happening.
But we had the same thing the first two times. We had major groups coming in here and spending the first time probably millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And it didn't go anywhere. The second time it was hundreds of thousands of dollars that was being spent on the same thing, but they didn't achieve anything at the end of it. But what do? You know, it's like I don't think that this council will make any decisions if it's a no. I don't think they're just going to say we're not going to. It's done. Don't
I
forget.
said it the last time.
No, but but the thing is, don't
They
forget.
said this was supposed to be a dead issue the last
But
time
listen,
too.
but
you
there-
know?
but don't forget, the last time it came onto the backs of an election. Now we're in April. If this is a no, and if this council, the incumbents, turn around and try to do something and say, well, no, we're not going to listen to you, they're going to shoot themselves because there's an election in July. You might as well just say, I quit. Because if the people say no, and then you turn around and say, no, well, we're going to do it, then you might as well quit your job because there's no damn way that you're going to get into election by saying that I'm going to go against you.
I'd be interested though is, remember the last time the question was very specific, and it kind of opened the door for there to be another one because it was only on do you approve of this specific project,
Right.
proposal.
Well, of
And
course.
I'm looking at this question now, and I'm wondering, is it where are the openings here? Do you approve development of a community-owned casino that would be regulated by the Kahnawake Gaming Commission? I mean, these are questions that are coming up because, and I'm not asking the question; it's somebody else asking the question. Is in terms of this casino and this project, in terms of the treasury that's being set up to manage it and everything, where are the terms of reference? Where are the terms of reference?
Well, you'll get them after the yes. But let's take a break. And we'll try to get some of those answers for you, and we'll be back right after these messages. And welcome back to Straight Talk. Before the break, we were talking about the referendum, and we'll be talking about that for a while. One of the things that we're going to do is next week, prior to the referendum, some of the representatives of the casino working group, I guess, are going to be on the show. We're going to do a special show just for the referendum, and we're going to be discussing some of the things that we were discussing here, some of the questions and stuff like that. One of the things that I would like to ask, though, I mean, obviously we have our own questions, and we've always been questioning everything, and we're going to probably do the same thing. But it's a good opportunity that anybody from the community, if you have any questions for any of those individuals that will be on, I think Joe, Ryan, and somebody else may be on next week with us to discuss the referendum and the upcoming referendum, and I guess some of the information that's been going back and forth. If you have any questions for them, send them to mohawktv@hotmail.com, and we'll ask some of those questions on there.
You can also send it to Jessica D at mohawktv.ca as well.
Yeah, so send it to Jessica's or to Mohawk TV's, and then those questions will get to us, and we'll ask some of those questions to some of the individuals, because we have a lot of questions too as far as that's concerned. One of the bigger questions that people were asking was about the, I guess the dividends. You know, who, where, what, when, how, and there's a lot of questions surrounding that because it seems like there's a lot of, maybe not misinformation, but information that people don't know the answers to. Because if you look at on that referendum site through Mohawk Council, at the beginning it says that you will get a dividend, and then later on it says, but you have to be over 18 and be on the.
You know what I think is that some of that
their
stuff
list.
is changing. Some of that stuff is changing, because I did talk to one individual who went to that information session a few weeks back, and it was all sounding great until we got to the issue of dividends. Then all of a sudden, people from the working group were talking about the old bugaboos about people all of a sudden being inspired to drop out of school, have babies just to get, X amount of thousands of dollars a year.
And that's,
until they're
and that's the
18,
biggest, and
blah,
that's,
blah.
but that's the biggest thing about what a lot of people are saying is like, don't tell me that you're going to give me something and then tell me what I have to, what you want me to do with it. That's ridiculous.
Well, no, absolutely. But the other thing is, a lot of people are also saying, well, okay, but you know what? It's not like we haven't heard the word dividends before, and you're just looking and saying, well, when is it going to be walked back? Is it really, what is it? It's a way to get a yes. It's just like people that
Sure.
are being told that their welfare checks are not going to be adversely affected by dividends. Okay. It's like, people look at that and they say, well, what's that all about? And where's that coming from?
The whole idea behind the Seminole Indians, which a lot of people have looked at as being a wonderful model about they're
The what?
receiving the Seminoles. They receive dividends from the Hard Rock Cafe Casino, and they have been since '79, since they established that casino. That whole, they bought land back. They did a lot of things within the time. Now, leading up to...
But this is Kahnawake.
but that's the model everyone's looking at. So the model that now, it's a wonderful model to look at, of course. It's a wonderful story because even within the Facebook group that the Kahnawake Casino had put, they use that as being one of the top highlight of why we should have a casino. And somebody made comment in regards to that and saying, that's all well for the United States, but this is Canada. This is also the province of Quebec. So how could you use that as a wonderful model? Because that's just a lot
It's
of fairy dust over the whole idea.
And one of the key differences in the United States in casinos and that is that they do have a radically different system and way of relating to Indian people down there. And in the state of Florida is where it all began in terms of casinos.
That's right.
Okay?
So,
And it was a constitutional issue. But in Canada and Quebec, it is going to be different.
Anyway, there's going to be a bigger issue with the referendum as far as that's concerned, and as far as the community saying yes or no. At the end of the day, we still have the government to deal with. Anyway, we had a poll. That on MohawkTV.ca. You can still take the poll, because it's still up, and it was about the referendum that's going to be taking place. And the results that we had 2 weeks ago was a little bit different than what it is. When we were last week, we were talking about the people who were voting. 75% said that they wanted the casino, and 25% said no. Right now, the results is 64% for the yes and 36% for the no. So there is a decline a little bit in those polls, that there's more people now saying no than there is saying yes the last time. I mean, the numbers is still higher for the yes side, but anyway, go take the poll, and we're going to still we're still going to follow it.
Right.
So go to MohawkTV.ca and take the poll and see what it is. Don't forget, there's that petition that's going around.
That's to postpone the referendum.
To postpone it. JJ's Mini Mart, Robertson's, McCumbers, Dustin's. So if you want to sign it and try to get the referendum postponed, go and do it. I don't think that'll happen, but it's at least you're showing that it's there.
Yeah.
One of the other big things that we'll just touch briefly on. We don't have a lot of time, but leading up to the referendum, and a year ago we talked about this, is that where's the money going, and we're broke and everything. Now that the budget came out for the Mohawk Council, they're saying that they don't have any money left after their budget, and they had to cut back on some of the programs, and they cut back on training, and some of the other places still got money, like the
Youth Center.
The youth center, the library,
Cultural
the cultural center. So they still got money, but there was still cutbacks in other areas. Go to their site and you'll get a bigger or a better picture of it. And we're going to be talking about some of that anyway next week. But one of the things that did happen that was really, I guess, sad to a lot of people was the passing of Joni Lacroix,
Yes.
the teacher at the Scunnamunk Survival School.
Yeah. She was a great teacher. She certainly was a big motivator with the student body. A lot of people from survival school, past and present, went to the funeral. And it was an absolute tragedy and a shock to all, because it was, people knew that she was sick within her close proximity of her family, but then when she had passed, nobody expected that. What I do like though is what Survival School and Education Center has developed though. In lieu of flowers, they've asked to send donations to help establish the Joni Lacroix Science Award to replace the quote unquote the nerd award that they have at Survival School. So that's wonderful and a great way to keep her legacy going.
And our condolences to the family, and
Absolutely.
she's going to be missed by a lot of people, because a lot of people had gone through that system, and she was around there for many years.
She really was great.
And one of the last things is that, I mean, we're part of it, is the Jesse Deer Memorial Media Scholarship.
That's right. Once again, the following organizations within the community: Mohawk TV, Eastern Door, KTV, K103 Kahnawake, along with many interested community members, have put together a fund to create, once again for this year, the Jesse Deer Memorial Media Scholarship. Now there is a board of directors that was established, and we're part of it. And we're very pleased to say that the bursary is moved from $500 to $1,000. So that's some great news. Largely because of the strong efforts from many community members and Moochie Goodleaf, who made a wonderful contribution last year. The bursary for the 2012 fall semester will be awarded to one successful post-secondary student. One of the cool things about this is that there is no application you need to pick up. You need to write a 500-word essay in regards to why you think that you should be the winner of the Jesse Deer Memorial Media Scholarship. And there is an address as well.
And a letter of reference to the Jesse Deer Memorial Media Scholarship, Post Office Box 1616, Kahnawake, Mohawk Territory, J01BO. And the deadline for that is May 4th at 4.
And one last little bit about that, because you want to get everything, you got to have an up-to-date transcript as well.
That's true. Yeah.
And an up-to-date transcript of your studies in that field.
Yeah.
So as you can see, there's a lot that been going on.
Mm-hmm.
That wraps up another show,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much for having us.
We'll see
be
you
back
back.
next week.
We'll see you back next week, Ross. I'm not sure. You'll be around, but
I'll be
whether
around.
you're when you're here on the
Hanging
panel
out.
or not.
But next week will be our special edition.
Special edition on the referendum. So for another one.
And don't forget, if you have specific questions you want to ask the representatives of the casino working group, then by all means send those questions to us.
Jessica D at mohawktv.ca, and the website that we have here at
Mohawk TV.
Mohawk TV.
So that wraps up another show for today. I'd like to thank you for watching. And Nyawa, Naonagiwai.
Honor.
Kanya ke haga thadi adraste kayerniga hiadu zewaderoru.